Welcome to episode 194 of Girl Take the Lead, where each week we explore womanhood and leadership. And I'm your host, Yokani. Today, Ellyn Katherine Shamalov, Millennial, joins us to discuss a bit more about loss, grief, separation, self-acceptance, and manifestation. Ellyn is an enlightenment mentor, quantum healer, international speaker, 2 times best-selling author, and a soul care coach. Ellyn is passionate in helping humanity to awaken to their true eternal self, accelerating their path to activate their limitless potential and break free from the cycles of dysfunction, karma, and suffering. Here's what we talked about together: the Quantum Enlightenment System, 7 life lessons, separation and grief and forgiveness and guilt, feedback and triggering, and manifestation, which means recognition plus acceptance plus choice. And lastly, the law of reflection. Believe me, you are in store for an episode that will change who you are. And maybe one of the episodes you go back to and revisit because it is full of juicy insights. You know that I like to match a card or gift from our online store at our website, girltaketheleadpod.com/shop, that reflects the episode. And for this one, I think Me Time for You, the gift bag, which has a facial mask, a steamer, and candle, is perfect to just relax and get in touch with ourselves. Enjoy the listen, and here you go. Ellyn, thank you for coming to Girl Take the Lead and being here with us this morning. We were having such a good little conversation as a side. I wanted to make sure we captured it. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah. And listeners, we were talking a little bit about our dogs and what they tell us and how they, kind of help us along. And so their energy and they can point us on a path, right? That we just didn't even know about that we should have. Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about you, Ellyn, and what you were talking about?
Well, I was just saying actually right before you wanted to hit record. So um it's not just the dogs that are showing us our path, it's everything and everyone around us. So all the relationships that we encounter or that we have are a reflection and a mirror of us. And so nothing is outside of us. It's all just showing us what's within us, all the behaviors that we are receiving from the dogs, or the anything that the dogs are trying to tell us. It's really not about them, it's about us. So even though there's a need for them, we can decipher energetically whether is this something they're trying to tell me for myself, or is it something that they need.
Right.
So like I said, it's just like it's always a reflection of, or a mirror of us.
Of us.
Everything is.
So why don't we just step back for a moment and if you would introduce yourself to our listeners so they understand a bit about that conversation.
So I'm a quantum healer and an enlightenment mentor. I was doing this already for 10 years, and I created with the help of my angelic team, my guides, a quantum enlightenment system. It's a healing modality, a very advanced healing modality that actually takes emotional healing to another level.
Mhm.
And why I say that is because it's cellular healing, and it works with the DNA. So it really helps you to clear out all the things that we're holding on to, the emotions, the programs like, limiting beliefs, or conditions that we were taught, um, everything that is creating our lives is held within our DNAs. And so I learned that on my path through my own healing, because I was a very angry person for a long time since I was a child. My mother couldn't understand why I was angry. She thought it was because of the divorce that she had with my dad.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I see it as there was more of I couldn't express myself and I
Mhm.
couldn't be myself because I was taught that I wasn't accepted for who I was as a child, you know, from the people that I was growing up with, the students in my class, and um, even society in general for what you should look like, what you should be like. I didn't dress like everybody else. I didn't look like everybody else. And so I was constantly tormented. And so I became angry and bitter and tried to be and look like someone else instead of myself. It was kind of
Mhm.
like an inner battle. And it's all interesting because I've never spoken about this before
Mhm.
to this level. And so, you know, I met my husband back in 2015, my now deceased husband.
Mhm.
And he was my catalyst because, you know, even though I am spiritual now, at that point, when I met him, I had all my abilities in a closet. I was scared when I was a little child. I had some experiences seeing ghosts, ghosts and spirits.
Mhm.
I guess that term came out for some of your listeners, but I never say that. So there were some spirits that I would feel, I would hear, and there was a point that I saw one that would always show up around me. When I looked in the mirror, I would see her behind me. If I turned my face, she would be there and then she would disappear. It was really scary. And at that time, because I was so young, the one thing I knew was that I couldn't share this with anybody else because people would really think I was nuts.
Right.
So, you know, I kind of kept that to myself, and I think I made a vow with God that I would do anything else just not to see that again anymore. So I asked, you know, to like hide it from me.
Mhm.
And when I met my husband, he's holistic. He was, you know, he wasn't spiritual, which is very interesting, but he was holistic and into like taking care of yourself and bettering yourself. So we used to watch spirit science on our dates on YouTube.
It's unusual to have on a date.
Yeah. After like the third, fourth date, you know, after we went out and whatever, we would start like after going out, we would come to my house and watch the movie or the show. And I feel like it just kind of woke me up
Mhm.
and made me realize certain things. So my intuition started waking up. I was in the shower, hearing all these things come through about how we choose our bodies, we choose our lives, we choose all our experiences. And I'm like, where the hell is this coming from? So I get out of the shower and I start Googling everything. Like, what am I listening to? What am I hearing? And I see these spiritual websites. There's some people talking about these things. And I thought, okay, wow. So this is information coming in. So long story short, we fast forward, you know, when we got married and we were going on our vacations, our vacations were not real vacations. They were emotional healing retreats. Yeah, like
So
for
great.
8 years, that's all we did. We went to emotional healing retreats once or twice a year. And in between, we would try to find some other coaches to help us.
Mhm.
So we went to one spiritual retreat that changed my life completely. And the way it turned out, like we ended up getting extra days that we didn't need to pay for, which gave us a longer vacation. And we decided to switch the days because now it didn't, you know,
Uh-huh.
now we needed other days to make sure we had those full 10 days to go. And it turned out that the dates we chose when we extended the trip was at the same time that there was um a, a coaching certification course happening there as well, which we didn't know about until after we finished our retreat. And we ended up joining it last minute. And that's what made me learn about the 7 life lessons. And the healing retreat itself opened me up and I felt really clean and more pure. My
Uh-huh.
mind wasn't going off too much. I was in a calmer state. I felt so much more bliss that I knew other people needed to experience this. So I told my husband, we got to share this with the world. Like we can't,
Mm.
we need other people to experience this. So I came home, I started High Vibrations Inc. And as I went through my experiences and my shifts, it changed into now Multidimensional Creations LLC. And my business was the one that my husband woke me up, or was the
Mhm.
catalyst to wake me up. My business was the one that helped me transform even more, because what I really wanted to do was get out there and help people, but I had to work through the conditions and the fears and
Yeah.
the misconceptions of all the of manifestation, which is now why I concentrate on helping people to really manifest, because I learned through my experiences that whatever the secret, the movie The Secret, gave us was really missing a key piece that I'm really honing in on. And that's what the Quantum Enlightenment System does as well. It helps to allow you to be that vessel to receive your manifestations.
Mm. So are the people that what kind of people are you looking for when like is are they at a certain level of understanding and a certain level of vibration? Or
I I can't, you know what? I know in a business standpoint, everybody says you have to know who you are targeting. And I'm going to say that from my understanding, the people who are meant to work with me come to me, and they're so in different levels. And I've witnessed this for myself, to notice that I'll have people who are literally just starting out in their journey and they'll come to me. And then I'll have people who are halfway in their journey or doing other spiritual things, and they're just sick of not receiving the full results, that they're like, okay, let's go to this. But I would say it's those who feel the call
Mhm.
to really take the next step in their journey.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just, hey, I'm going to go get emotional healing. They need to understand why they're getting the emotional healing. What is it going to do for you on a
Mhm.
cellular level? Are they ready for something completely new? Or are they just going to trickle through, oh, let me just get the Reiki and whatever, and I'll feel better, kind of thing. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Are there certain emotions you think that are blocked, that people need more help with? Like, I don't know, anger or grief or sadness, or what do you see there?
I think so. When I work with the 7 life lessons, there are 3 to 7 or 3 to 6 different emotions attached to each lesson.
Oh, okay.
And I would say the number one thing that I see people having is worry,
Mhm.
anxiety,
Mhm.
panic. And those are all attached to the life lesson of separation, because the biggest thing that people feel is that they are separated from God. They feel like they are. And when you feel that separation, you have that anxiety and worry, because you don't realize, and it's very disempowering. You don't realize that you actually have the power within you,
Uh-huh.
and that you are protected and guided. And that's why it kind of like the 7 life lessons work all together, right? Because if we look at all the lessons, there's separation, forgiveness, control, identity, judgment, divine guidance, and unconditional love. So if we look at it all together, they all work simultaneously, because when you realize that you are not separate from God, and that you have the spark of God within you, when you have
Mhm.
the spark of God within you, what does that mean?
Mhm.
They, if you have the spark of God within you, you have that quote unquote DNA, right? Which means that you have God in you. You are God in a physical body.
Mhm.
So therefore, you are not separate. you were just in the illusion of separation. And I say illusion because when we are in a physical body, it's a very dense field, right? Physicality, because we're all energy.
Right.
So the physical body is a very dense field. You can see it clearly. Everything we have in this earth is very dense, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not, you can't see the energy moving in it unless you really can see energy. So because it's so dense, there's a lot of factors that make it so dense. And so there's that illusion that we are not part of God because of all those factors that come into play that keep us from really seeing that we are holding that energy.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're working in this field of let's just bring spiritual truth down. Let's make you realize that you have that within you. And then it starts to open up to the point where you can understand what we're working with, so you can start taking your power back and then create what you desire.
Mm-hmm. So with these 7 stages, is it stages
Life
or
lessons.
life lessons?
Mhm.
Do they go like in a linear process, or are they kind of a mix of things and you could be in one? And how what do you usually see there?
They, like I said, they all work together. So
Mhm.
once you see that you're not separate anymore and that you're a spiritual being embodying a physical vessel, then you take that to the next level by saying, okay, so if I'm not separate from God and I am and I have like a team or angels working with me, it's divine guidance. I
Mhm.
am divinely guided with my team or by my team to be able to move through this process or
Mhm.
through this life. So they all work together. And actually some people I've noticed, I mean, a lot of people that come to me are light workers. So they all have all the life lessons, and it's meant to be that way so that they can really help people on that level.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, but there are some people who I've worked with in the case study who didn't have all the life lessons, who were just working with a few, but
Mhm.
always separation is one of them that comes up.
Mhm.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
if they didn't feel like they were separate, then they wouldn't need this.
Right, right. Well, a lot of my listeners know that and if you listen to our last episode, we definitely have been talking about grief and how it can be very isolating. And I think what you're talking about too is like this connectedness to each other and to all beings, whether they're, animal or human or everything around us is here to be connected to.
There is, but we're in the physical field with the intention to experience individuality. And so that's why there's also that illusion to create that separation so that we can create things on a different standpoint.
Uh-huh.
Um, not together, but separate. So you understand the difference?
So I'm guessing that it's something like it's still an individual experience, even
Yeah,
though we might go through something and be very connected, like grief. Okay, might connect us to other people. It's still our grief and
right.
our connection to
And
ourselves.
grief is also part of separation. And so is the feeling of abandonment, right? So grief, so the way I would see it, right? I didn't feel that I was separate from God when my husband passed away.
Mhm.
I was grieving the the idea of what I lost in terms of not him, because I understood why he did, and I understood it was part of a contract, and I understood that it was his time. I was grieving the my identity. I was grieving who I was when I was with him versus who I became. And so there are going to be emotions that some people might feel towards certain experiences that doesn't mean everyone is experiencing the same lesson with every same type of experience.
Yeah, I love that. I think that makes a lot of sense because we are those separate beings and we have our own history, our own experiences and things
Mhm.
in life. And there might be some common understanding, but still it's deeply personal. Yeah.
And what I really love about grieving in this, I just heard that I should share this, is that it's the it's I don't want to sound cold when I say this, okay? Because I'm saying this from a perspective of spiritual truth and wisdom
Mhm.
versus me being a human, okay? And humans get very wrapped up in the emotions of things that and the important part is you need to be able to separate yourself from the emotions. Yes, you have to feel to heal, but there's a cutoff. There's like, okay, I'm going to feel this because this is the emotion that's coming up and allow it to move through my body. But I'm also going to, once I move it through my body, allow myself to receive the wisdom that is coming through with this lesson of this emotion.
I love it. I think that it is kind of interesting to experience the body that way.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like it's not gone, but it's not all consuming you,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
And you can move and you could still take some action. And I think the big thing that I took away was that there was meaning in what had happened. And it sounded like in your story with your husband losing your husband, you found meaning. And that would be good to hear a little bit about what was that for you?
Well, like I said, the grief for me, what I experienced and the lessons that I've learned through the loss was forgiveness of self
Mm,
and unconditional love. So, in the beginning, when he passed away, I was more nervous about how I was going to take care of my son, because he was he was the one helping me with paying all the bills and stuff like that, right? And I was very codependent on that. However, I also know that I needed that experience because being with him allowed me to not only grow, but also be able to fulfill what my mission is by helping other people.
mhm,
And so I was nervous that I wasn't going to be able to do that. At that time, I was so blinded that I couldn't see that there was a way out without really going out. So
mhm,
all I was thinking was like, if I'm not going to be able to fulfill my mission, there's no point in me being here. I should check out too. There's no point in me doing this. Like, I don't understand why I even have to be here for this. And then when I was forced. I used to go when my husband and I first moved to Florida, which was 5 months before he took his life. We were going to a lot of healing retreats here, but with medicine. We amped our game up a little bit. We went with medicine. So they did some heart opening medicine and mushrooms and whatever. And it was really good, but I could, for the life of me, never sit on my topper. And I always was walking around and moving. They're like, Ellen, go within. I'm like, mm-mm, I feel good like this. And I didn't know that I was actually, sabotaging myself in that way. But I did get a lot of information. But they wouldn't let me come back. They said, no, you need to learn how to sit with yourself, especially after what happened with your husband. You need
mhm,
to go within. So it forced me to really sit with myself and learn how to really meditate. And
mm,
that alone was one of the biggest things a gift that I took out of my husband's passing, because now I'm not relying on binaural beats or some, guided meditation or anything like that. Actually, it annoys me. So now I'm at the point where I can actually meditate by myself, close my eyes and go in and set an intention of whatever I want to receive and be able to meditate. So that meditation helped me to connect more with what are the lessons that I'm learning with
mm.
this experience. So I
Mhm.
was reflecting a lot, and he was coming into my meditations a lot and sharing information with me. And I remember where I was on the fourth month, I lit the candles for him, and I started talking, and I said, you know what? I realized that all you really wanted was love,
Mhm.
and you asked in the maybe not the best ways because you didn't know how to ask for it, like most people don't. But I realized that all you ever did was just want that love, and you
Mhm.
never got it.
Mhm.
Excuse me.
Mhm.
And it went deeper when I started realizing that I started actually feeling at that moment a lot of guilt and
Yeah.
regret. Even though I know there was a contract and whatever, but I also know there was lessons there. So
Mhm.
whatever happened was meant for me to experience this, aha moment. And so when I realized that there was regret and guilt, I said to him, I would much rather give myself to someone, because I knew many times with him, I was afraid to open myself up. If we had a fight, I would just close down and, you know, threaten him for a divorce. And because I knew that then, I would get off the whatever. But then it was me running away.
Yeah.
It wasn't me looking at what was really going on. And it was also me shutting down and not showing myself and not wanting to give him love or be open, because I was afraid that, oh, if I show myself now, then he's going to take advantage and he's going to ask for a divorce. So yeah, this is that was going on in my head. So I would run away. And so when I was lighting the candles and talking about this, I those images came up to mind, and I remember saying to him, I vow from now on to always give myself 100% and not allow this fear of being rejected to stop me from showing myself, because the mirror, the fear of rejection, it's not them rejecting me, it's them rejecting themselves because they're not ready to receive that love. It has nothing to do with me, because nothing around me, when someone is doing something, it has nothing to do with the other person. It's all about them.
Yes. Yes. It's so important. I think that is just so important for people to get
Yeah. And
because
if it's a
we
trigger
absorb
to
it.
you, if it's a trigger to you, then you have work to do, and they were a mirror for you to be able to see what needs to be done.
Yeah.
But there's also projection. So it's good to know and realize the difference between the projection and a mirror or a lesson for you.
That's so, oh my gosh, listeners, that is so important. Like, that's just so important to get because I think so many of us just absorb the other person. We take it on, whether it's a spouse or partner, boss, whatever, like whatever that person is exuding, we think it's us.
Mm-hmm.
And I love what you say about the trigger. You know, one thing that I came across in my research was that after someone passes, we have the opportunity to have actually a better relationship with them. Do you experience that or know?
Someone told me that too. And I don't have a better relationship with
Mhm.
him. Um, I think in the beginning I did, but I don't concentrate on that because it's not here. He
Uh-huh.
was meant to go, particularly for his growth and my growth, and for me to be able to move forward
Yeah.
in a different way. And his passing really did help me to move forward in a different way. There's so many gifts in his
Yeah.
passing. And, a lot of people would look at that and say, how do I move on when someone died? And this is why it's in separation, because it's literally teaching you that whatever is gone is not in your vibration anymore. It's gone for a reason. And whether he took his life or he got a divorce or whatever the situation is, if it's not in your life anymore, people grieve not only death, but a lot of, loss in general. Like, this
Absolutely.
person's not talking to me anymore. No more friends, no more job. I have to leave this place. They're grieving it because it's not in their vibration anymore. They're elevating, they're moving, they're growing.
Mm.
And with him, there was no point in me holding on. And actually, he stopped coming into my meditations after. So with that story, with the 4th month, when I learned the unconditional love piece,
Mm-hmm.
to show myself regardless,
Mm-hmm.
and to forgive myself for not knowing how to give myself before,
Yeah.
I realized that, well, he, first of all, he stopped coming after that, but he actually came to me that last time in my meditation the next morning and showed me images of the times when I did have was very little, but
Mm-hmm.
it was there. And so he was like, you did show me, you did have times where you showed me unconditional love.
Oh, that's so wonderful. I think, well, for me, last week I was in a sound bath
Mhm.
and, the vibrations were knocking my head all over the place. And I was just sort of there. But afterwards, it opened up I could see things more clearly. It was like, oh, I've got guilt. What, or that looks like shame. Like there was, like, I should have prevented, the death of my dog in some way. And I went, but wait a minute, not everybody lives forever. People go. But it was like I had to get, like, yours was at the core there about, unconditional love. And for me, it was like, what beliefs am I hanging on to here about myself? That I thought other people were projecting on me, but it was me having those beliefs.
Well,
Could let
what
go
you
of
are
it.
feeling is, yeah, forgiveness. So the
Yeah.
guilt is part of forgiveness.
Mhm.
And so when you feel like, the thoughts of you were to blame, again, it's all about, okay, so this is what's coming through. Um, and I'm trying to make it in clear sentences. So the guilt that you're feeling is coming from maybe other people, what you should have done, whatever, whatever. And again, it's the language. So if someone or even you are thinking the shoulds, it's your ego, it's not your higher self.
Right.
So once we can understand what the language is that we're hearing, we can already understand who's talking. If it's ego
Mhm.
talking, then it's already saying that we're not working with the higher mind. We're working with the societal thoughts and beliefs, conditions, programs, whatever.
Yeah, so clear.
Um,
That's very clear.
yeah. Okay. The other piece that I wanted to say just left my mind.
Oh.
Um, but it's about guilt comes from that lack of understanding that there was a reason behind this happening,
Mm.
right? Why do we
Mm.
need to have guilt for something that happened when it was meant to happen?
Mm.
And so that's where the forgiveness comes in, because now we can say, well, I forgive myself because I didn't know better, or I forgive myself because, well, in my case, it was I didn't know better. I didn't know how to give myself without feeling this, right?
Yeah.
Especially because for me, it was about my dad's conditioning. My dad was teaching me all the time to never show a man that you truly love them or whatever, because then they'll take advantage and whatever.
Yeah.
So in my head, I had my dad in my head all the time about his conditionings, and which is why I was always afraid that I would be rejected if I showed myself 100%.
Yeah.
And so in this situation, it's guilt of, for you, guilt of, I should have done this differently. I should have done that differently. Well, if you kept your dog alive and you did all those things, then you wouldn't be in the spot now of actually taking this experiencing and getting a gift out of it.
Absolutely. I mean, well, and it definitely teaches us resilience, how to
Mhm.
manage through things. Um, yeah, I'm very grateful. I have this just overwhelming gratitude and love, you know,
Exactly. And this
and
is what death can provide. And
yeah.
that's why I was saying earlier that I don't want to sound cold, that when people die, regardless, or people, dog, anything, when something dies out of our life,
Mhm.
regardless of the reason, even if it was because, it was time for them to go, there's still the opportunity to grow from that. There's still the
Yeah.
opportunity to look at that. And again, for you is the guilt. The
Yeah.
guilt didn't just come out of that. The guilt was conditions and programs that you came in with in other previous experiences, possibly also ancestral experiences that you carried here so that you can be able to learn that lesson and start that healing process.
Yeah. Oh, so good. So good. When you just said that, I just had a hit of my grandmother, my grandma Carlota, who, oh my God, she had dogs and cats and parrots and
Wow.
parakeets and just
She had
constant.
a farm.
So, yeah, definitely learned from her for all of that. Um, well, our talk went a little bit differently than what we had thought when we first talked to each other. And I'm wondering if there's anything else. I mean, I know we kind of touched a little bit on the 7 lessons, but if there's anything more there, and I know we didn't talk about wealth and stuff, but I know you have some interest in that though. Is there something more that you would like to tell our listeners?
Well, the interest is in really just sharing how you can manifest wealth. There is a wealth manifestation formula that I had created based on my experiences. So it's R plus A plus C equals wealth. So it's recognition, acceptance, and choice. So the R stands for recognition, which means before you can even start creating something different, you want to recognize what your current reality looks like and why it looks like that. So recognizing what created your current reality, because you can't shift into or manifest something else without actually realizing why you're in this situation first. And that's the biggest piece, to recognizing what your limiting beliefs are, recognizing what your values are, recognizing what your language is, what your emotions are, recognizing all those pieces in order for you to build up, because you need to know what you're doing now to change that so that you can manifest,
Uh-huh.
right? And A is acceptance. So this is also important because when you accept that you are in this current reality for a reason, you can also accept that it is using the law of reflection. Manifestation is using the law of reflection. It's literally saying the universe is within you. So whatever you see outside of you is a projection of your internal being. So this is why I said from the very beginning of our conversation that it's all a mirror of us. It is showing us what we need for ourselves. It's never outside of us. And so when you can accept that that's the power that you hold, then all you need to do is just work on those aspects of yourself
Mhm.
before, without taking the world on your shoulders and saying, I have to change the whole world. No, the world changes when you change. The
Mm.
perception of the world that you see outside of you changes when you change.
Mhm.
And then C is choice, because now that you recognize what's creating your current reality and accept that you created it based on the emotions you hold, based on the language you constantly speak, based on the programs that are going on in your mind, then you have a choice now. Do I want to create something new? Hopefully people are saying yes, because if you want to stay there, then forget about whatever manifestations. But if you want to shift, right? If you want something new, you want to get out of where you are and create something different.
Yeah.
Manifestation is not the creation of something that does not exist already. It is already here, just in a different dimensional field. So it's in a different vibration, different frequency. So once you can shift, when you change your language, you change your vibration. When you start to remove all those emotions from your cells,
Yeah.
you change your vibration. So if you do all of that, your vibration massively changes. So then you have a choice. Do you want to change? Yes, I want transformation. So now you have a choice of what new language are you going to be using? What new emotions are you going to be carrying? What new thoughts and beliefs are you going to be holding? What coach is going to help you with that? You know what I mean? Like all those types of things that play into creating a different reality for yourself, or as I want to say, stepping into a different reality that holds all the desires that you want, or that you would like to experience.
So cool. And I just really see that you're going to write your book, and this is going to like have I mean, this is just amazing the way that you can articulate it and talk about it. And
Thank you.
yeah, no, very, very good. And so, how can our viewers and listeners who want to work with you find you?
They can text me 561-862-2932. They can text me, manifestation, that term manifestation, and I'll just send them an Akashic reading link. It's a free 15-minute call where they can come with a question. I actually have a really cute experience in it for them to have, so that they'll have a little mini understanding of what they're working with in terms of their life lessons. And
Huh.
I just want to say that there is a correlation with the wealth manifestation and the life lessons and the quantum enlightenment system. So the quantum enlightenment system actually works on all the programs that you have within your DNA. And I take that information based on the name that you hold, that you have. And so those are the programs, the limiting belief programs, conditionings, those are in the name. I take that and the life lessons, all the emotions connected to it. Once you have an emotion that you're working with, if that emotion from the life lesson is activated, you're already working with that life lesson. So I take the programs from your name, I take the emotions that you hold, that's all in the quantum enlightenment system. And we work on clearing all of that out on many different timelines. So it's not just from this lifetime, it's past lives, it's many different times that you've experienced it until it's gone. And then that is what essentially creates your new reality, because now you're basically, the quantum enlightenment system changes your reality. I had a client, if I have like 1 minute to tell you really quickly.
No, go ahead.
She is in Boca. She is the owner of Anti-Aging Center of Boca. And when I first met her, she was always like complaining about how there are some clients who don't see the changes, but she does, because she takes before and after photos, and you can see the changes. You can, because she does something on the body. I forgot what it's called, fat loss or something. So you can see the changes, but people have this perception where they cannot see it. They're so blocked off, giving her issues and problems, and because of the expectations that they come in with, like crepey skin that takes very long to form, that after one session it's going to be gone. And it's like, your expectations have to be managed a little bit. That's not the case. But she's like, I don't understand why I keep, and she does energy, so she's like, I don't understand why I keep on having these people come to me. So we started working on working with the quantum enlightenment system, and I noticed that, so she started asking for clients that will see her value, and clients that will pay her without question.
Mm.
And after a couple of sessions, she was on the phone with me and she was like, you will not believe what just happened this week. I've had all these clients that came in, paid me whatever, like a package of 10,000 $10,000, and no questions. Like, they just paid it. They just came and they knew what they were getting. They knew the value that it had. That's it. And they're not arguing with her. They're seeing the results. It's like
Yeah.
what she asked for, she got. And it created that. And I realized, wow, so this is creating a new reality for you. So what I used to say is the quantum enlightenment system will dissolve all these programs from your system and then upload new programs. But really what it is, it dissolves all these programs to create a new reality. So it literally shifts your reality into the version of you that has all your desires there, and you're in a new frequency. So that's
Mm.
what I wanted to share about why the 7 life lessons is attached to the quantum enlightenment system.
It's pretty amazing. When that
Thank
is pretty amazing.
you.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I think we created this amazing episode today, and I don't know about really, sometimes I'll do episodes and just go, gosh, I just so enjoy it that I really don't care if I get a lot of listeners for it because I have so enjoyed it. And I feel like this about this episode that it it was just perfect.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah,
So
and
happy
just
to hear that.
thank you for opening your heart and just being so vulnerable with us, and just I just so appreciated your
I
space for healing.
I do, yeah, and I appreciate that you have a platform for allowing this to come through, because I feel like, I want to share the message with as many people who are ready to receive it. So thank you so much for having that platform and giving me the opportunity to be
Yeah.
here today. And if people have questions, like I gave my phone number, they can text me. And then, we can always go into the Akashic record reading.
Yeah, perfect. So thank you. Thank you from my heart to yours. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Mm. Thank you for listening today, and we sure hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please leave a comment wherever you listen to your podcasts. Tell a friend about us. Join our public Facebook group, Girl Take the Lead, or visit our website, girltaketheleadpod.com. We also have a YouTube channel where your subscription would be appreciated. Once you're on YouTube, search at Girl Take the Lead. And we've recently expanded to YouTube Music, where you can find a video of this episode. And be sure to visit our shop and pick up a Me Time for You gift bag at our website. Here are 3 takeaways from our episode. 1, our reaction to life is not determined by what's happening around us or to us, but rather what's happening inside us. Everything is a mirror of us. 2, the 7 life lessons are acceptance of change, the power of gratitude, embracing failure as a teacher, letting go of control, live authentically, the importance of connection, and finding meaning in adversity. These lessons are broad and can be applied to grief, leadership, or any other kind of personal development, and they're intertwined with each other. 3, manifestation is recognition plus acceptance plus choice. And it's about the law of reflection, which is about consciously shaping our thoughts, beliefs, and actions to align with our goals. And when we do this, recreate the conditions for those goals to manifest in reality. Our next episode will be an inspirational soundbite. We've all heard about Jimmy Carter celebrating his 100th birthday on October 1st of this year. And I recently saw a documentary, Jimmy Carter, Rock and Roll President. I found it so inspiring and interesting from a marketing and leadership perspective, and I can't wait to tell you about it. This documentary is a portrait showing how Jimmy Carter's lifelong passion for music gave him an unexpected edge as a presidential candidate. Through folk, soul, gospel, jazz, and rock and roll, Carter tapped into a force that transcended divides in the country. The topic seems so timely for us right now, right? So please join us again and talk to you soon. Bye.